This is News Hour on Ifako Radio. Good morning, I'm Olanireti Ololade. The major headlines: Nupeng, Dangote clash as tanker drivers deal collapses. Airpeace crew tested positive for alcohol, drug, NISB report. 5.6 trillion naira debt. Energy crisis looms as gas firms cut supply. Court summons mark others over ADC leadership tussle. Sports. Disregard publications linking me with NFF chairmanship. Fani Kayode. NFF should be disbanded if Nigeria misses 2026 World Cup, says Mikel Obi. Visa denial threatens Nigeria's participation at World Wrestling Championships. Entertainment. Nollywood is a greater space of opportunities, says Abigail Kanu. News in detail. Nupeng, Dangote clash as tankers drivers deal collapses. The fragile truce between the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers and the $20 billion Dangote Petroleum Refinery has collapsed, igniting a fierce industrial dispute that threatens fuel supply stability and tests the federal government's ability to enforce labor agreements. The confrontations follows allegations by Nupeng that the Dangote Group reneged on a memorandum of understanding signed earlier this week, under which the refinery agreed to allow tanker drivers and other workers to fully unionize. On Thursday, Nupeng's national president Williams Akporea accused Soyu Aliu Dansata, a cousin of Aliko Dangote and key player in the refinery trucking operations, of defying the resolution reached on September 9 at the Department of State Services headquarters in Abuja. The meeting, mediated by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammadu Dingyadi, affirmed the rights of petroleum tanker drivers under Nupeng to unionize. Representatives of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, DSS, and other agencies witnessed the signing of the MOU. But Akporia alleged that within 48 hours, Dansata ordered drivers to strip Nupeng stickers from their vehicles and forcefully enter the refinery in violation of union loading procedures. Alhaji Soyu Aliu Dansata flew over them several times with his helicopter and then called the Navy of the Federal Republic to come over ostensibly to crush the union officials. Our members are waiting for him and his agents to run them over, Akporia said in a statement. The union condemned what it described as Dansata's impunity and warned the federal government not to allow security agencies funded by taxpayers to be used against workers. Airpeace crew tested positive for alcohol, drug, NISB report. The Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has indicted an Airpeace pilot and a co-pilot for taking hard drugs and alcohol. The accident investigators tested the crew positive for the substances after the aircraft they flew was involved in a runway incursion at the Port Harcourt International Airport on July 13, 2025. This was contained in a preliminary report signed by the Director of Public Affairs and Family Assistance at Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau, Mrs. Bimbo Olawumi Oladeji. It will be recalled that an Airpeace aircraft on a Sunday morning of 13th June had a runway excursion after landing at the Port Harcourt International Airport. The aircraft veered off the runway without any damage. An aircraft incursion is the wrongful or unauthorized positioning of an airplane at the runway. Incursions are most often caused by miscommunications, mistakes, faulty gear, and potholes on runways, among others. But with the discovery, pilot intoxication has been added to the list of causes. $5.6 trillion naira debt. Energy crisis looms as gas firms cut supply. Nigeria faces the threat of nationwide blackouts as gas companies reduce their supply to power plants due to an outstanding 5.6 trillion debt owed to power generation companies. The development has raised concern about the stability of the national grid and the country's ability to sustain its electricity supply. The managing director / chief executive officer of the Association of Power Generation Companies, Dr. Joy Ogaji, confirmed the developments on Thursday. She warned that the situation, if not urgently addressed, could push Nigeria deeper into darkness. This warning came shortly after another national grid collapse threw the entire country into blackout earlier in the week. Although partial restoration has since brought back about 4,000 megawatts, many plants are still operating below capacity. Ogaji explained that while GenCos remains committed to supporting the country, the liquidity crisis in the sector has spiraled out of control. She disclosed that from January to August 2025 alone, An additional 1.6 trillion debt has accumulated, bringing the total outstanding to 5.6 trillion naira. Court summons Mark others over ADC leadership tussle. The Federal High Court in Abuja has summoned the Senator David Mark led the interim leadership of the African Democratic Congress to appear before it on September 15 to explain why the Independent National Electoral Commission should not be restrained from recognizing their authority. Justice Emeka Nwite issued the order on September 4 after refusing an expert application filed by a former deputy national chairman of the ADC, Nafiu Gombe. Gombe, who is laying claim to the party's chairmanship, had sought an interim injunction to stop Mark's faction from parading themselves as party leaders. In the suit, marked FHC/ABJ/CS/1819/2025 and dated September 2nd, the plaintiff asked the court to prevent INEC from recognizing Mark and his allies as national chairman and national secretary of the ADC, pending the determination of the substantive matter. The defendants in the case includes the ADC, Mark, former Osun State Governor, Rauf Aregbesola, INEC, and former ADC national chairman, Chief Ralph Nwosu. Justice Nwite declined to grant the expert relief and instead ordered that defendants be put on notice. He further directed them to appear on September 15 to show cause why the plaintiff's application should not be granted. Police. Obi of Lagos admits installation was fraud scheme. The Lagos State Police Command on Thursday said they arrested self-acclaimed Obi of Lagos, Chief Chibuike Azubuike, confessed that the planned installation was a scheme to defraud unsuspecting participants. The command's deputy public relations officer, Babasheyi Oluseyi, disclosed this in a statement on Thursday. It was earlier reported that 65-year-old Azubuike was arrested while parading himself as the Obi of Lagos. He was apprehended on Wednesday with 3 alleged accomplices during preparations for an unlawful unveiling ceremony. According to the police, the group had planned to launch a prototype of a purported 1.5 billion naira Palace of Obi of Lagos on Saturday, September 13, 2025 at Apple Hall, Amuwo-Idofi. Oluseyi said Azubuike admitted during interrogation that the planned installation was designed to please unsuspecting guests. The suspect also reportedly confessed that contrary to his earlier claims, he was not an engineer but merely a supplier of construction materials. The investigation revealed that the principal subject, Chibuike Azubuike, confessed he is not a qualified engineer, but has been parading himself as one. Further findings showed that the planned unveiling of the Obi of Lagos Palace was fraudulently designed as a ploy to swindle unsuspecting personalities and Nigerians of their hard-earned money, Oluseyi said. He added that Azubuike acted alone with the backing of or recognition without the backing or recognition of any legitimate chieftaincy authority. The suspects and his accomplices, he said, would be prosecuted once investigations are concluded. Oluseyi urged Lagos residents to disregard misleading claims about the incident and remain vigilant. The Commissioner of Police, CP Ololade Jimoh, strongly advises Lagosians not to fall prey to fraudsters of the likes of Azubuike and his gang, he stated. INEC clears ADA, 13 others, to apply for registration as parties. The Independent National Electoral Commission has given the nod to the All Democratic Alliance and 13 other associations to apply for registration as political parties, having crossed the first stage of the scrutiny. The association, according to the electoral agency, will move to the next stage of assessment based on the guidelines for registration. The leaders of the 14 associations have been invited for a meeting with INEC officials on Wednesday, thereby kickstarting the second stage of the process. INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education, Sam Olumekun, said in a statement that the associations were cleared after meeting the requirements of the law. He said as the second stage, their claims will be further verified before registration. Olumekun said of 171 associations that approached INEC for registration with their letters of intent, 157 failed to meet the requirements. Sports. Disregard publications linking me with NFF chairmanship. Fani Kayode. Former Minister of Aviation Chief Femi Fani Kayode has urged the public to disregard media publications linking him with the chairmanship of the Nigerian Football Federation. Dismissing the speculations in a statement, Fani Kayode described the quotes attributed to him in this regard as fake news. The former Minister of Culture said he is not a footballer and as such would have nothing to do with football administration. NFF should be disbanded if Nigeria misses 2026 World Cup, says Mikel Obi. Former Super Eagles captain Mikel Obi has urged that the Nigeria Football Federation be disbanded should the national team fail to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Nigeria's chances of reaching the tournament now hang by a thread after a draw against South Africa in the Group C qualifiers left the Eagles third on the table, 6 points adrift of the Bafana with only 2 games remaining. Miguel blamed the team's trouble on the NFF's failure to put his house in order, insisting that the state of Nigerian football reflects the body's poor leadership and lack of accountability. Visa denial threatens Nigeria's participation at World Wrestling Championships. Nigeria's preparation for the 2025 World Wrestling Championships in Zagreb, Croatia, has been thrown into crisis following the refusal of visas to 4 of its top athletes by the Croatian authorities. In an appeal addressed to the President of United World Wrestling, the President of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, Honorable Daniel Igali, described the decision as bewildering and profoundly unfair, stressing that it undermines the principles of equality and universality in global sports. The affected athletes include multiple African champions and Olympians, Genesis Messi, Ogunsoya Tolulope Christiana, Ojo Damola Anna, and Izolo Stephen Simon. According to Igali, the Croatian embassy cited doubts over whether the athletes would return to Nigeria as the reason for the refusal, a basis they described as unjustifiable for officially accredited and government-funded competitors. These are not unknown or unproven competitors. Ojo Damola Anna and Izolo Stephen Simon both won their first African title this year, while Ogunsoya Christiana and Genesis Messi are multiple-time African champions who represented Nigeria at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, he said. Entertainment. Nollywood is a greater space of opportunities, says Abigail Kanu. Nollywood actress cum film producer Abigail Chinemena Kanu has opined that the Nigerian film industry is a space filled with opportunities. In a recent chat, the producer of Whisper of the Arts said Nollywood is a great space of opportunities, not totally negativity as people may think. Kanu also reiterated that Nollywood has seen many of the practitioners exploring a lot of good and also created jobs for many Nigerians and non-Nigerians. She also revealed that she became actively involved in the industry in 2017 and has acted and produced over 76 films. In her words, I started acting in the year 2017 and I have done movies and produced over 76. Kanu also shines as business owner and CEO of Chief Fortunate Global Ventures Limited. Recap of the major headlines. Nopeng, Dangote, clash as tankers drivers deal collapses. LP's crew tested positive for alcohol, drug, NISB report. 5.6 trillion debt. Energy crisis looms as gas firms cut supply. Court summons Mark, orders over ADC leadership tussle. Sports. Disregard publications linking me with NFF chairmanship. Fani Kayode. NFF should be disbanded if Nigeria misses 2026 World Cup, says Mikel Obi. Visa denial threatens Nigeria's participation at World Wrestling Championships. Entertainment. Nollywood is a greater space of opportunities, says Abigail Kanu. Follow us on all our social media handles. Facebook at Ifako Radio, YouTube at Ifako Radio, X at Ifako Radio, WhatsApp at Ifako Radio, Instagram at Ifako_Radio. For news reporting, contact us at ifakoradio@gmail.com or call or WhatsApp 091 22 22 7433. Special thanks to the news producer Olanireti. Thanks for watching. I'm Olanireti Ololade. Have a lovely weekend. God bless Ifako.
Looking for reliable brand for import and export, logistics and cargo services, ticket booking, or general merchandising? At Divine and Grace Enterprises, they specialize in seamless global trade, efficient cargo handling, top-notch travel support, and trusted merchant services. Whether it's getting your goods across borders, booking a flight, or managing cargo with precision, they deliver with speed, reliability, and care. You can visit them at Nako Export Warehouse, International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos State. You can contact them on 0803 406 1483, 0817 287 4375, or email it divineandgraceenterprises@gmail.com. Divine and Grace Enterprise, your reliable brand for logistics and merchandise.